Hey there, friends. How's it going? Richard here. Hey, are you a business owner who really wants to start getting some more traffic, clients, customers from Google? Have Google become your best friend? Have ad costs like kind of spiral out of control, or the ad program you may have been using just isn't producing the results that it had been even just a few months ago, or maybe social media just isn't. You're pouring money into a social media platform or social media manager, not getting the traction that you want. Well, I want to share with you what I've been deploying for the last several weeks or months, that I've really started to see a lot of uptick in communications and contacts with interested clients and customers for my business. Now, I'm Richard, just to disclose that. I've shared this on the channel before. One of my businesses is a law practice, so it's a brick and mortar office that I have here in Queens, New York. And for a long time, I've managed my own website, still do. Played around with a lot of different ads and social media, blah, blah, blah. And I'm always trying to I want to know the how and why of what I'm doing. I don't mind paying somebody else to do this stuff, but I really want to know for myself, how to get it done. Anyway, suffice it to say, I've really started to want to leverage SEO or just content creation, right? Improve my website, start driving more traffic. Because quite frankly, when I look at particularly law office websites or a lot of professional services websites, if you take a look at your industry, whatever it may be, and you see who you're competing against, oftentimes it's very cookie cutter, very templated. And if you just spend a little bit of time and energy differentiating yourself, you can really start to take a larger chunk of the market. So that's what we're going to do with our content here. Now, to make things easier and to make sure that we're being very methodical about what we're doing, there are tools that make this stuff easier. I've shared in a couple of videos recently that in terms of content creation, we're looking at 3 different things. You're going to have keyword and topic research, right? Finding the actual terms, search terms that people are looking for, so that we end related to the business, right? So in the case of an attorney, right, what kind of, let's say, in this instance, I'm going to show you an article that I'm actually working on for bankruptcy. What terms people are looking for to locate and connect with a bankruptcy lawyer. So that's going to be the first part. Part number 2 is going to be content ideation, figuring out the kind of content that you need to create that match the intent of what people are searching for. And then the third thing is going to be the actual creation of it. And this is where a lot of people can get stuck, because look, between running your business, family, health, all the stuff that goes on in the day-to-day, it's hard to find the time to produce this content consistently. So I'm going to share with you what I've been doing to try to make that, streamline that workflow and make it very fast. And I'm not making excuses, but I've got an 18-month-old, and this is the most content I've ever consistently put out in the time that I've been doing this. So let's hop into it and show you what I'm doing right now. So the first thing is going to be topic and keyword research. What exactly are we going to write about? This is a tool that I use, Answer the Public. There's a whole bunch of tools you can use. I've talked about WriterZen in the past. I'll leave a link to WriterZen. Put it right here. Let me just mark it in the video. I use WriterZen almost every day, looking for terms, topics to research. But this is just another tool that you could also use. If you want to use WriterZen, again, check it out. I'll put a video here of a walkthrough to it. They consistently update it. And there is a lifetime deal going on right now. I am an affiliate for it, a proud affiliate, because I think the tool is amazing, especially for a lifetime deal, which means you pay once, you get lifetime access for it, and they're always improving it. So that's going to be the WriterZen. If you don't have the budget for that, I think the top level for that is $600 right now, $620. This is another option. Answer the Public. Answer the Public goes out and it pulls in, if you search in Google for a term, there's going to be other elements that Google incorporates. People also frequently asked questions, recent searches, things that are related to the term. So Answer the Public is a platform where you can put in a term, right? Let's say something related to your industry. If you're a coach, right, or you teach language, right, it could be Spanish lessons or something like that. Spanish teacher. I would say probably Spanish lessons or something like that, just because you don't want to be a Spanish school teacher right for this. But whatever is related to your business. And I always say, start off high and then let the tool do the work for you. So in this case, I want to write an article about bankruptcy in Spanish. So I'm just putting it to answer the public, bancarrota. Hey, let the thing do its work. And then I have here, there's different ways that it can present the information as wheels, kind of like mind map stuff, but I just went straight to list, which you can organize this a little easier, a little more easily. And I'm just looking for a term. What term do I want to, like, you can organize and rank or order this data by search volume, by cost per click, just alphabetically. But I'm going to do search volume. And just looking at the search terms here, I want to see something that, for me, I like questions, right? If you take a question and then answer it, you're answering people's questions. So here's the first one that we find on this list, ¿Cómo declararse en bancarrota? On average, it's looking about 320 searches per month. And the average cost per click, so what advertisers are paying Google right now, is on average about $12.35 every click. So that tells me that this is a very competitive word. Attorneys out there across the United States are willing to pay about $12 for a person to click on this, right? So this is it tells me a term that converts really well. So you know what? We're going to go with this term and create content around that. And just to show, I guess, like, make sure the numbers are somewhat accurate, I'm going to take that same term and put it into WriterZen keyword. So we said cómo declararse en bancarrota, United States. We're going to say Spanish. We're going to search. Again, not that it matters. I just want to see, because every like tool you use is going to have maybe differing metrics depending where they're pulling their data from. But I just want to make sure, like, if it says 320 searches in whatchamacallit, in answer the public, here I got 0 search term, which I don't believe that. ¿Cómo declararse en bancarrota? Did I misspell something? ¿Cómo declararse en bancarrota? Oh, let me move my head. I need to get a mouse. Let's just try declararse. Okay, see, I did misspell it. So just make sure you're spelling it correctly, because that could affect things. We said Spanish. Okay. And again, this is just to see, like, whether or not there's a wild variation or fluctuation in search volume. I don't even care if it was 10 searches, really. I just curious, like, how the numbers match up. And as you can see, WriterZen kind of has the same, it's probably pulling from the same data source, Google, 320 searches, so we're on par there. CPC, the cost per click, advertising is a little higher, but again, right around the same thing. And then these are related terms. If you can win on all the related terms, the idea is you get, you kind of like control 1,700 searches per month. So that's pretty cool. Cómo declararse en bancarrota, blah, 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 blah. So as you can see, pretty cool. So we're gonna create content around this search term is what I'm gonna do. Now, just to see real quick, this is why I love WriterZen. You get a whole bunch of data. It believes, according to its own metric, all these tools have their own, like, difficulty scoring, 13 out of 100. So again, this tells me that it should be relatively easy to rank content on this keyword. Searches are pretty consistent and seems to be pretty consistent, growing a little bit towards the end of the year and beginning of this year. And then these are the top 10 results that WriterZen pulled up. So it looks like some aggregate websites. Abogado.com is an aggregate website. Attorneys can pay for a listing or get a listing on that website, and they create content, so it drives traffic that way. The IRS, which is a government entity, this is a court website, so that's that. Saber es poder, I don't know. But anyways, you can see, like, there's no attorney's office, I think. Maybe Washington Law Help. But as you can see, like, the results are mostly aggregate websites or court websites. Nobody's really creating content for this term, except this guy's going to do it right now. So let's go. The next thing I want to do, and one of the things that I am so loving this tool called KWHero, because it makes things go really fast. If you don't have keyword research tools, so again, I said step one is topic research, keyword research. KWHero, right now it's on appsumo.com. Actually, let me hop in there and just show you. AppSumo, if you're not aware, it's like a marketplace for software products and courses and whatnot. Really good stuff. But KW is on here as a lifetime deal. What you can get for, these are the different tiers, $69 for, so let's just go to plan details just so you understand. Everything is the same except like some who you can add or what permissions you can give to team members. So if you're just by yourself, maybe these would be okay. But if you have other team members or you have writers doing content for you, then maybe you need other permissions. The big difference is going to be like the AI credits over here. And what KWHero does is that it creates content for you that's pretty much publishable. You can publish it right out of the box. You don't have to, you should edit it, but you don't have to edit it. And I'll show you what that looks like in a bit. The rest of it is going to be like the analyses, how much different things you can do per month. And if you don't have a keyword tool, then maybe you want to get one of these higher tiers because there is keyword functionality here. It was originally built as like a keyword tool, but then they modified it and made the content creation even more powerful. So anyways, just want to show you that. I'll leave a link for all these tools and whatnot in the description below. All right, so let's go back to KWHero. And again, I just want to run through just to show you if we're going to do that keyword again. Okay, como de poderse. Again, this is saying a little different. Oh, but they changed the keyword. This is a related keyword. Como de quedarse en bancarrota in USA, which is not the keyword, the exact keyword that we put in there. So not a big deal, just a little different. Blah, 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 blah. All right, so we're going to go to content creation because I'm going to use this keyword. And I already set it up here. You can create a content plan. Content plan is basically, think about it as like a folder. And then in here, you'll have keywords that you want to create content around just so it organizes it relatively easily, right? So for me, I'm using content plans as like one-to-one. I should probably do like a business and then whatever, Spanish, English, like have a better filing system. I don't have the time or energy to do that right now. So I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm using one keyword per content plan. So then once you get here and you add a keyword to the content plan, you're going to run this analysis. And depending on your industry and the keyword, like all the data it's pulling, it could be a couple seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever the case is. So we're going to open this up, content analysis. And it's going to take us to this blank page. On the left-hand side, you've got this content editor, which we're going to create our long form article. And then over here is going to be like content score and metrics of the article. Basically, at its core, we want to get this content score as high as possible. And what KWHero is going to do is going to give us, like, it's right now, just using the term itself, it believes we should create an article somewhere between 1,500 and 1,900 words, have about 13 to 17 headings, 35 to 43 paragraphs, so maybe 3 paragraphs per heading, and then a handful of images. Cool. Next thing we're going to do, once we're here, we're just going to go straight to outline. Actually, no, first step is we're going to go up here, this little box here, and this is to select competitors. Because again, we want to know what kind of content our competitors are creating out there so that if everyone is doing a best of whatever the industry is, and you come out and do some top 10 or I don't know, like whatever, some like article, not that, it's so different that, you know, if the top articles are best of articles, it probably means you want to write a best of article to try to compete with that. You could come from a different angle, but like you're running a risk that the reason why the best of industry article is doing so well is because that's the intent that the user has when they're searching for it. Whereas if you come up with a different angle. I'm trying to off the top, I'm blanking, like I don't know, comparison article or something like that. Maybe that's not what people are looking for when they're putting in the search term. So you just want to see, hey, what are people, the top competitors out there doing? So KWHero will go out and present you the top 20 competitors. Let's just take a quick look at it. Hopefully my camera moves over. So boom, as you can see, this is an aggregator website. You can, as an attorney, you can put your claim a profile and then have like sponsored listings. But anyways, long form article, we're definitely going to use that as a competitor. This is the IRS. I'm not going to include them because actually, let me check it out. Yeah, it might be a little, this is really more on the tax side of it. And also the IRS's website carries so much domain authority. As you can see, domain score of 78. They're a really respected domain. I'm going to use this one. That's the court website. This one looks like a really good article as well. Saber es poder. Very good article. Look at that. Nicely organized, clean, lots of content. They know what they're doing over there. It's saberespoder.com. New York courts, for some reason, this is only pulling in, I think this is a PDF, so we're not going to use that. ctlawhelp.org, only 30 words. I'm likely not going to use it, but I just want to see what it looks like. All right, this is actually a good piece, good page. I just don't know why KWHero is saying there's 30 words. So it's not scraping it properly, and I'd rather not have like the problem with scraping affect my article. So I'm going to leave it out. Just you can go through, you can start seeing like the word count and whatnot that you want to deal with. Abogado.com again. Yep, I'm going to include that. Lawhelp.org, I'll include that. PA Law Help. I'm not going to include this. 265 words, not going to include that. Not going to include that. Actually, let me see this. They got a video. No, I'm not going to include it. Just, it's not really what I'm looking to get done. IRS, Telemundo, leave that there. Van Horn Law Group, cool. All right. I think I'm going to leave everything else. So just, whatever you're searching for, just go through it and like check out the content. Make sure that you can kind of identify, all right, what are most competitors or other websites that are ranking? What does the content look like? And you want to have like just select competitors that have comparable structures and what they're doing with the content. So we're going to update that. Okay. Now that you have that, the next thing is we're going to create an outline. It's much easier. You can freelance it, just start writing, but you know what? I want to go based off of what other, like let the AI do it for me. So that's why KWHero is so awesome. I'm going to go here, click here, outline builder. And you know what? Very simply, I'm just going to let the KWHero AI engine build my outline. So it's going to go out there and the competitors that we selected, look at the headlines, analyze the headlines, and then give us a headline structure for our entire article. So we're going to click create AI outline. And remember, like I said before, the credits, when you go to AppSumo, this AI outline creation costs you 1 AI credit. So for instance, on the higher tier plan, you get 60 credits per month. Just the outline alone for an article is going to burn 1 credit. But the thing about it is, like, you do this article, if I get 1 client, like I've already made back my money 2 times over. So I'll spend the credit, right? All right, so again, just give this some time because now it's actually going out there, figuring out what the headline structure should be for our entire article, and then using AI to, I guess, change the headings up and whatnot. As you can see, maybe like 30 seconds, if even. And here's our entire outline for our article. Nicely structured, lots of headings, cool. Now, I'm not gonna go through like this particular article or the headings right now to see what, you just go through once you create it for yourself. and then check it out. Like, does the structure make sense? Should I add things? Should I take things out? Should I move things around, right? So you just play around with your heading. Excuse me. Just to keep this video relatively short as possible, I'm going to leave the outline as it is. But again, I would go in and check, spend 5 minutes, go through the outline and see things. Again, you want to add, change, move around. If you want to move stuff around, you can just simply move the heading up and down, and then those changes will be reflected. That was an H4. Those changes will be reflected inside of the article here. So again, if we would just go to the top here, for instance, this H2, entendiendo proceso de la bancarrota. If you want to make that, actually I'll go one down, conceptos básicos de la bancarrota. If you want to make that like an H2, so a more important heading, you can just click here, and then it made it, you see how it made it a little larger to reflect that it's a little more important. So you can make all those changes. The other cool thing too about KWHero is that in each of these headings, we can add custom instructions. So if you want to do something like tell a joke, talk about this, use this example, you can add those specific custom instructions inside for each of these headings, which helps the AI, the content writer, be that much more specific and reflect your voice. If you can include in here your own experience, mention a story about the time, whatever it is, like you have to give the instruction, but you could, that's really powerful. Not very many tools have that you can do custom instructions for each heading. Finally, when you go to the bottom, just go through the outline, get your outline set up. That's gonna make the AI content created so much better. All right, so once you have the outline done, you're ready to go. We're gonna jump to this next button, AI Content Writer. And there's a reason that there is fuego right next to it, because this is the best AI content writer that I have come across recently. And because this article will be ready to publish almost out of the box, okay? Like we said, going back to the guidelines, these metrics here, we want this the score of the article to be as high as possible. The higher the score, it's meaning more search friendly. We want it as high as possible. We're going to AI content writer. You can change some settings here. Tone of voice, I'm going to say, I'm going to leave it standard. Content level, I'm going to say beginner. Purpose is to inform. They have other like angles you can use, but we'll just leave inform. And then I'm going to say second person, blah, blah. I'm not going to touch any of these settings here. Just know NLP is that it looks for semantically related phrases and then wants to incorporate those phrases as much as possible. Just so you see what I'm looking at here, these are content terms that it's going to try to include all these terms as much as possible and as naturally as possible. So you definitely want NLP optimization. Scraping fresh content, it's going to use the context of the competitors to create the article. We're going to leave that off for now. Past AI detection. This is just like, there are AI detectors out there. We're going to leave this off. Why? Because there's another step after the long form content is created, which kind of will render that superfluous. If you want to have custom instructions for the entire document, like for instance, whenever referring to us or the writer, say law office of Richard, something like that. You can add custom instructions there. I'm going to leave it empty for now. Let's just write this content. Also, with respect to writing the content, the outline costs us 1 AI credit. When it actually writes the content, it's going to cost you 4. So basically with KWHero, the outline and the article will run you 5 credits. So when you look at this plan here, if you're going to get this lifetime deal from AppSumo, 60 AI credits is basically going to be 12 articles, is what you're looking at, 12 articles per month, which is, again, for many small businesses, more content than they've ever published in their lives. So let's just go ahead, write content, give it 2 minutes or something like that. It's not going to be very long, probably enough for you to maybe get up, get a glass of water, and then get back to your desk. Okay, and we are back. So this was, it probably took in real time 1 minute and 15 seconds or something like that. I forgot to time it, but it was like around my clock, around the 23-minute mark, and then at 25 and change, it's back. So let's say 2 minutes. Cool. This is the entire article out of the box, right? I just want to head over here back to the guidelines. As you can see, KWHero is saying that we are optimized. We got a score of 88 out of 100 without doing any of our own writing. That is just super powerful for getting content published, because now instead of worrying about like writing the entire article, we can just focus on being like article editors. It just removes a whole step. And for a small business, again, if you're a lawyer, if you're an accountant, if you're a coach, if you teach lessons online, if you're a personal trainer, and you've got like all the stuff that you're one of those business owners who, like me, wears so many hats, the time you save with this is incredible. So now all you got to do is go and edit it. I want to show you some, just share like how powerful this is. Another tool that I really use, an SEO optimize, like a article optimizer tool to get articles optimized for Google search so that they rank higher. Frase is one of these tools. This is what I was using before KWHero. I should have hit that. So what it does, same kind of thing. Like you take a topic, let Frase goes out there and figure out the outline and the terms that should be incorporated throughout the article. It searches the top 20 results, just like KWHero did, and then it comes back with, like, again, what words, what terms you should include, the frequency, and that much, so that you can create content relatively quickly and have it SEO optimized so that it's ranking high on Google. So we're gonna give it a second. I should have run this in the background before, just so that it has like what kind of content we need. It should only be a few seconds more, and then it's going to say we can go to the outline part of it. I'm going to skip the outline for now. You can use this to create an outline and do all that, just like we did in KWHero. But I'm going to skip this for now. I just want to go to here, the optimize. So again, Frase, what it did, went out there, looked at the top 20 results from Google search, and then these are the terms that it believes we should include in our article. Now, just to see what I want to compare is like how optimized KWHero saying that its content that it created has a content score of 88 out of 100. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our content here. We're going to head into Frase, and then we're going to paste that. And as you can see, out of the box, I'll also take the title. Out of the box, without doing any editing, Frase is saying that our content is optimized about 84% on there. On the average, our competitors, the content is getting a score about 37.7 out of 100. If we look at competitors, this was that Saber es Poder article that we saw in the other one. Debt.com, Van Horn Law Group was pretty good. And then our article, in terms of optimization, is right around here, 84%. So with a few more changes, we can definitely get this up to 92 to 100% if we wanted to. So that's that. So as you can see, like, it just expedites and accelerates the content creation process. Now I'm going to take this content and take it into one other tool. And it's just the same kind of thing. It's a content optimization tool called MarketMuse. MarketMuse was also on AppSumo years ago, and there was I haven't used it as much as I think I should have, just because it's like to me, and I shared this in a conversation with a MarketMuse representative not that long ago on a call, like the workflow in MarketMuse feels very clunky. It's not easy to use. But their engine for searching for topics and making a piece of content like topically authoritative, I think is like the power behind the system. It has the most powerful, I think, like to make every piece of article the most is what MarketMuse does. So I like now, because I've sped up my content creation process, I'm incorporating MarketMuse because I want to have MarketMuse optimize my content. So we start off here with KWHero, get the content, and then you can use Frase, you can live inside of KWHero. I'm going to use MarketMuse. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to, oh no, that's our title, that's fine. And then we're going to get our content. Going to head into MarketMuse, and the same kind of thing here. It has a, like, these are the competitors that it pulled up, and for some reason it's saying their content is horrible. Right? 00000 research. Okay. Why is our score not here? 0. All right. So what it does, it's the claim of MarketMuse is that whereas, like, for instance, KWHero, Frase, they go out and search, pull information from the top 20 results. MarketMuse says that they go out and scrape the entire search result. So everything, like, there are articles that are probably very good that are ranking further than 20. And as you can see, these are the terms that came back relevance. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to optimize something. I'm going to say cómo declararse en bancarrota. And then again, we're going to take all this content and we're going to paste it in here. As you can see, like, this is why MarketMuse is not the easiest to work with. There's a lot of, like I said, it's clunky. And I told this to the person that I spoke with. All right. So it is just, all these terms are in English. It's not pulling anything up in Spanish. And I don't know why it's not pulling it up in Spanish. All right, well, I'll have to figure out something. I'm missing a step here because I've done other articles in Spanish, and it did it properly, but it is not doing it the way I want it to. All right, whatever. I'll figure it out. But anyways, like, getting to the, this is just to optimize it, right? And if I can figure out why it's only pulling up terms in English, you can live inside of here, KWHero. For instance, we have the opportunity. There are terms that were not included. So if we can find a way to start incorporating these terms, like the keyword itself was not inside of our content, which doesn't make too much sense. But these terms that are grayed out, you should, as you're editing, finding a way to add them into your content so that you increase the score. Oh gosh. Sorry about that. Another way to increase the content score is images. Like, Google loves articles with, again, good structure, headings, content, and then images. So as you go through your article, whatever content you create, be sure to add images throughout here. This says 2 to 4. I'd probably add here, there's a lot of room to add, like, probably every H2 heading, add an image or something like that. So there's a lot of images I can add in here. But all you do now is you edit. You go through the article. Again, you can weave in terms. So again, this header, I don't know why, declarar la bancarrota, whatever the case is. Like, if you can change the headers, add terms that are here to increase your score, and get this score as high as possible by reflecting your voice. Once you have that ready, boom, whatever you're using for your website, if it's WordPress, if it's Groove, if it's ClickFunnels, if it's Elementor, you just copy this content, put it in there, paste, publish the link, publish the article, and then go to Google Search Console and make sure that it's indexed. That's how you can do one article. My I think what I'm trying to do right now, because of how quickly KWHero produces content that is usable, an article a day, maybe an article every 2 days, right? But still, if I can do an article every 2 days, that gets me close. That's about 15 a month, maybe whatever, take the weekends off, 12 a month, perfectly in line with the plan right there. So if you do that for 3 months or 6 months, we'll do it. So I'm going to publish this article. If you want to keep track on it, what I'll do is I'll put the link in the description of this video. And if you want to check it out, like see where it's ranking and whatnot, just to show, this is a live example that I'm actually going to put on my website, to hopefully generate more traffic and more sales for my business. And I can't wait to see what happens. If you have any questions about this process and this workflow, I'll get MarketMuse working. I may have missed a step there, why it's not doing in Spanish, but MarketMuse, I'm going to take this article once I figure out what the mistake I made in MarketMuse, do it there and optimize it. But basically the optimization is the same kind of thing. You saw on the right rail, there would be terms here that you want to incorporate inside of your article. So it's the same thing as you're editing, as you're like changing the voice of the article to reflect your own, you would incorporate terms as naturally as possible to increase, here in MarketMuse, the content score would be there. All right. Any questions? I'd love, let me go back to KWHero. I'd love to hear them. Drop them in the comments below. If you want, I drop links again to Answer the Public, Writer's End, which has again that lifetime deal for keyword research, KWHero, AppSumo, Frase, MarketMuse. I'll drop links for all of those things. And if you got any questions, comments, or maybe improvements, how I can improve my workflow, I'd love to hear that. Just drop it in the comments below. And until next time, take care, be well, bye for now.